So the first thing to realize is that when you have a circular wheel rolling without slipping, the distance is equal to the circumference into the number of revolutions. Let's just hold on to the thought and proceed from there. We have radii given as 30 and 40 for A and B. So the circumference is equal to 2 pi r. So circumferences are also going to be in the ratio 3:4. And both cycles are moving the same distance. So we are talking about circumference and revolutions. The product is a constant. So revolutions is going to be inversely proportional to the circumference. That means the number of revolutions done by A and B. A is smaller wheels, so it's going to do more revolutions. And this ratio is 4:3. But it's also given that A does 5,000 revolutions more. So we're looking for two numbers which are in the ratio 4:3, but where one is 5,000 more than the other. So you can do 4 parts minus 3 parts is equal to 5,000, and you'll get 20,000 revolutions for A and 15,000 revolutions for B. Now we are also given that B traveled this distance in 45 minutes, and what is the speed? The speed is going to be the distance by the time, and the distance is 2 pi 40 centimeters is the circumference. Let's convert it to meters. 2 pi 40 by 100 meters is the circumference into the number of revolutions, 15,000. Let's divide this by 1000 to convert the meters to kilometers. That is the distance traveled in kilometers, and the time is 45 minutes, which is 3/4 of an hour. So when you simplify this, you will see that you can cut 3 zeros, you can do 2 by 5, you can cut the 5 with the 3, and you can cut the 3 with the 3, and you'll end up with 2 pi into 2 into 4. This last 4 is the denominator of the denominator, and you'll end up with 16 pi. 16 pi is the answer. It's given that 3 men and 8 machines can finish a job in half the time. That is because they are twice as fast as 3 machines and 8 men. I'm going to represent the men with M and the machines with R for robot. So that's 3 men plus 8 robots are twice as fast as 3 robots and 8 men, which is basically 6R plus 16M. Let's take the M's and R's to opposite sides. So you have 13M is equal to 2R. 2 robots are as fast as 13 men. That is the speed ratio for the two types of workers. It is given that 2 machines, 2 robots can do this in 13 days. Then how many men can finish in 13 days? 2 robots same as 13 men. So 13 men can also finish it in 13 days. So the answer is 13 men. So at their usual efficiency levels, A and B work together and finish a job in 12 days. That means in one day they do 1/12 of the work. A had worked half as efficiently, so that's A by 2, and B had worked thrice as efficiently, 3B. It would have been done in 9 days, or they would have done 1/9 in 1 day. We want to see how much time A would take working alone at normal efficiency. So we want to find the value of A. Just 2 equations, 2 variables. You can either triple the first equation or double the second equation to get to the solution. I'm going to double the second equation, and that will give me A plus 6B is equal to 2 by 9. And then I'm going to take these 2 equations and subtract. That will give me 5B is equal to 2 by 9 minus 1 by 12, which is 36 by 9, 400 8, 36 by 12, 3, which is 5 by 36. 5B is 5 by 36, that means B is equal to 1 by 36. you substitute that here. You have a plus 1 by 36 is equal to 1 by 12. I'll replace with 3 by 36. This gives me a is equal to 2 by 36 or 1 by 18. A will do 1 by 18 to the total work in 1 day. That means time taken by A will be 18 days. Both cars are starting at the same point and ending at the same point, but one is traveling 1 hour more than the other. First car traveled for at least 6 hours, then the highest possible value of the percentage by which the speed of the second car exceeds that of the first car. Now there are two ways of going about it. One is to say T1 has a limiting value of 6 hours. T2 is 1 hour less than that because it started 1 hour less, 5. You can just look at it and say T1 by T2 limiting value 6 by 5 is equal to 1.2, whatever. And we know that speed is inversely proportional to time for the same distance. So S2 by S1 limiting value is 6 by 5, 1.2, which means plus 20% speed, which is the easy way of going about it, not very rigorous. I have not bothered to see whether this plus 20% is the highest possible value or the lowest possible value. If you want to be more rigorous about it, you can say something like T1 is greater than or equal to 6 hours, it is given. T2 is therefore greater than or equal to 5 hours. And so basically if I take T2 as X, our speed ratio T1 by T2 is X plus 1 by X, where X is greater than or equal to 5. And that was the time ratio T1 by T2, and speed ratio S2 by S1, inverse ratio, is also that, which we can rewrite as 1 plus 1 by X. Now if X is greater than or equal to 5, then 1 by X is less than or equal to 1 by 5. And you can say that this expression 1 plus 1 by X is less than or equal to 1 and 1 by 5. Now you got the fact that it is a highest possible value, and you can say that the required ratio is, no, not the ratio, the percentage by which it exceeds 1 and 1 by 5, which is nothing but 1 plus 1 by X less than or equal to 1.20. So it is less than or equal to plus 20% speed. So the question was asking for how many solutions this equation has, and the first thing to notice is that the RHS is a term and its reciprocal, 2 raised to X plus 1 by 2 raised to X. Now this is basically two terms whose product is equal to 1, which basically means its GM is equal to 1, geometric mean. So the AM has to be greater than or equal to 1, which means that the sum of the two terms has to be greater than or equal to 2. Now you can use this to plot a rough graph. Even without, you could have drawn the graph, but that's what it looks like. It is a sum of two exponential functions, 2 raised to X and 2 raised to minus X. 2 raised to X will look something like this, with this point being 0, 1, and 2 raised to minus X is going to look like this. Passing through the same point, 0, 1. And so the sum of these two expressions will look something like this. It's a rough curve. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but that lowest point, we know that the AM is minimized and the sum is minimized when the terms are equal, or 2 raised to X is equal to 2 raised to minus X, which happens at X equal to 0. So X equal to 0 is the lowest point on the RHS curve, and that point is 0, 2. Notice that the LHS is 2 cos X into X plus 1. Now this really doesn't matter that much. Like, the specific expression doesn't matter as much to the question. You could have put X into X plus 17 or X into X plus 2500. For all I care, the answer would have been the same. The idea is that when the input to the cos function is 0, we know that the cos function has its highest output of 1. The input could also be 2 pi, 4 pi, minus 2 pi, everything. But the important fact is, at X equal to 0, the output is 1. And it also happens at other values of x where x into x plus 1 will be equal to 0 or 2 pi or 4 pi. I don't know exactly what it'll look like. It will not be a regular sine curve because of the x into x plus 1, but it'll be something that has its peak at 2 and its lowest point at minus 2. We don't know exactly what it'll look like, but it doesn't matter. It cannot attain a value higher than 2, and that is a key point, because at every other value of x, the curve on the RHS is greater than 2, and so the curve on the LHS cannot hit that value at any point other than x equal to 0. So x equal to 0 is the only solution, and they're asking for how many solutions are there. The answer would be one solution. So in this question, I'm not going to bother with a rigorous solution. We can find a specific case that will eliminate 3 of the 4 options, and that is what I'm going to do. And we're going to take a very easy case which can be evaluated. So I'm going to do something which might seem a little silly. A1 is equal to 10 and the common difference is 0, and I'm going to take n is equal to 4. So basically A2, A3, A4, A5, that is all I need, because n plus 1 is the last term. So then my given expression will become 1 by 2 root 10 plus 1 by 2 root 10 plus 1 by 2 root 10 plus 1 by 2 root 10. They're all the same because all the terms in this AP are equal, because we have a 0 common difference. So the expression, according to my assumption, the expression should evaluate to 4 by 2 root 10. And let's compare with the 4 options given. You can immediately check the n minus 1s, because both of them will lead to 3 by 2 root 10. The second option can be checked because it will become division by 0 where it shouldn't, and you're only left with option 1, and you can check there and you will see that that gives me 4 by root 10 plus root 10, which is 4 by 2 root 10. So for the specific example that I've taken, now if a rule is always valid, it should be valid for any example, and for the specific example that I've taken, only option A works out of the 4 options, and so option A is the answer. So let's combine all the powers of 2 and the powers of 3 on either side. So the LHS will have 2 raised to 9.5, 3 raised to 4, 2 raised to 4 squared will become 2 raised to 4, 9 raised to m will become 3 raised to 2m, and 8 raised to n will become 2 raised to 3n. On the other side we have 3 raised to n, 2 raised to 4m, and 2 raised to 6, and the fourth root of that, so 2 raised to 1.5. So let's compare the powers of 2 and 3 separately. 2 raised to 13.5 plus 3n is equal to 2 raised to 4m plus 1.5. Those are the powers of 2. The powers of 3. 3 raised to 4 plus 2m is equal to 3 raised to n. So basically n is equal to 4 plus 2m, and 4m plus 1.5 is equal to 13.5 plus 3n. So I'm going to make the substitution. 13.5 plus 3, instead of n I will substitute 4 plus 2m, is equal to 4m plus 1.5. This gives me 13.5 plus 12 plus 6m is equal to 4m plus 1.5. Take the m's to the one side, you have minus 2m here, and you have 13.5 plus 12 minus 1.5, which is basically 24 is equal to minus 2m, m is equal to minus 12. That is the answer. So we have 3 people, let's call them ABC, having principals in the ratio 3:4:5, and rates of interest in the ratio 6:5:4. The interest for a year is basically R% of P, which is just which means its I is proportional to PR. So the ratio of interest would be 18 is to 20 is to 20. And let's take them as 18 parts, 20 parts, and 20 parts. And what's then given is one of the bigger interests is exceeds the smaller one by 250 rupees. So that's basically 2 parts is equal to 250. So one part will be 125, and the question was what is the total interest. So the answer would be 18 plus 20 plus 20 is 58 parts, where each part is 125 rupees. So you take the product and you will get rupees 7,250. The first thing to realize about this question is that it is invariant. You're given fractional changes or fractional values, and you're asked for a resultant fractional value. So you don't need any variable. You can start with a number. So if we start with Amala is equal to 100, or let's say Bimala is 100. Let's see. Bimala is 100. Amala is 20% more than that, so Amala is 120. And Amala is also 20% less than Kamala. So 120 is 20% less than what value? It is basically 120 is 80% of what value? And when you solve it, you will get 150. So Kamala is 150. What happens afterwards? Kamala's income goes down by 4% and it becomes 144. 4% of 150 is 6. 6 reduction will take you to 144. Bimala's goes up by 10%, becomes 110. Percentage by which Kamala's income would exceed Bimala's is nearest to. Kamala by Bimala, find the ratio, subtract 1. It is 144 by 110, which is how much? 144 by 110 is 1.309. Subtract the 1, 0.309. It is approximately 31%. And that's your answer. What's given to us is a radius of 11 and so a diameter of 22, and CD is a diameter, AB is a chord of length 20 and a half that cuts the diameter at a point 7 units 7 centimeter from the point C, and we are asked to find the difference between AE and BE. BE minus AE is the unknown. Now based on the property that we know, AE for intersecting chords, AE into BE is equal to CE into DE, and because we have a radius of 11 and CE is equal to 7, you can say that CE is 7 and DE will be 11 plus 4, that's 15, is equal to 105. So I'm just going to call AE and BE as X and Y. We have X plus Y is equal to 20 and a half. XY is equal to 105. This is quite simply 10 and 10.5. The numbers are 10 and 10.5. They have a sum of 20.5 and a product of 105. So the difference between BE and AE is 0.5 centimeters, and that's your answer. So in this race of some unknown length L, which we're trying to find, horse 1 beats horse 2 by 11 meters. That means horse 2 is almost done with the race, but 11 meters behind. So H2 has done L minus 11 in the same time that H1 has done L, while the third horse was beaten by the first one by 90 meters. So that means it has done L minus 90 in the same time. Notice that by the time the first horse has done L, the second one has done L minus 11 and the third one has done L minus 90. At this point, second horse is ahead of the third horse by 79 meters. That's a 79 meter lead in, it is not in the full race, it is in the L minus 11 meter race. If the race had been for L minus 11 meters, the second one would have beaten the third one by 79. But it's given that the second beat the third by 80 meters. So what happened was, during this last 11 meters, in the same time that H2 ran 11, H3 only ran 10, and that is why one more meter lead happened. That is how you get the 80 meter lead in L race. Another meter lead in the 11 race. There's a small race of 11 meter length happening, during which horse 2 did 11 and horse 3 did only 10 in the same amount of time. That means their speed ratios are 11:10. So that means for an 80 meter lead to happen, H2 should have done 880 and H3 should have done 800 by direct proportion. And that 880 is the length of the track, required length of the track. So the answer is 880 meters. So even though this is an interest question, I'll be using a couple of weighted average techniques to solve this efficiently, because we have multiple rates and we want the weighted rate for some particular ratio. So first of all, we have the FD at 6% and two other deposits of 4% and 3%, but they are in the ratio 2:1. 2:1. So the distance ratio is going to be flipped, and you're going to get the average return for the other two deposits is 3 and 2 by 3, which I'll take is 11 by 3. So this 11 by 3 is the average return for the two other deposits, 11 by 3%. While for the FD to 6%, which I'm going to take is 18 by 3%, same thing, just to have the same denominator. So you realize that then we'll do replacements. So you want to start at one extreme. If I had put all 15 lakhs in your FD, it would have given me 6% of 15 lakhs, which is 6%, 90,000. This would be my extreme value. And after that, let's look at the cost of replacing 1 lakh. Replace 1 lakh from your FD to the combination of the other two deposits, and what is your loss? It is going to go down from 18 by 3 to 11 by 3. That is 7 by 3% is your reduction. 7 by 3% of 1 lakh is 7,000 by 3 minus 7,000 by 3 rupees per lakh of per 1 lakh rupees that you remove from the FD and put into the combination of the other two deposits. Now you want to go down from 90,000 to 76,000. That means your total reduction is 14,000. Minus 7,000 by 3 for every lakh. You will see that if you multiply this with 6, you will get your 14. That means you did this replacement of 1 lakh 6 times, which means other two deposits together is 6 lakhs, and the FD is the remaining 9 lakhs. 15 minus 6, 9 lakhs, and that is your answer. Mod of x plus mod of y less than or equal to 2. First of all, mod of x plus mod of y is equal to 2. We will start with x plus y is equal to 2, and we'll take only the portion of the first quadrant and we'll repeat it in all the other quadrants. You will get a square where this is 2 comma 0 minus 2 comma 0 0 comma minus 2 0 comma 2. That's your mod of x plus mod of y is equal to 2, and less than or equal to basically means every point inside as well, but let's just keep it like that. Now we also have mod x greater than or equal to 1, which means x is greater than 1 or x is less than minus 1. So our area that satisfies both of these conditions is this triangle here and this triangle here. They want the total area in square units. So this triangle is basically having a base of 2 units, because this point is going to be 1 comma 1, this point is going to be 1 comma minus 1. So that's a base of 2 and a height of 1, which is from here to here. So that is 1 square unit for the triangle on the right. You similarly have one more triangle on the left side, another is 1 square unit. The answer is 2 square units. So we have a mixtures question here. 1 liter weighs 1 kg for the first liquid, so that's 1000 grams, and the other one weighs 800 grams per liter. The mixture is 480 grams for half a liter. Half is 480, so that means 1 liter is 960, and this 960 is the weighted average of the 800 and the 1000. That means you have a distance ratio of 160 is to 40, which is 4 is to 1, which means 1 is to 4. So basically for every 5 parts of the mixture, 4 parts is liquid 1, which is 80%. Corners are cut off from an equilateral triangle to produce a hexagon. That can only happen if you cut at 1/3 the height. If this is, let's say, 3h, this should be h. So what happens is you will cut similarly from all the sides and you will be left with a hexagon where that is h, this is also h, and this is also h. And this line is basically halfway between this portion. Now if your k is 1/3, that is the scaling factor for the similarity, side ratio is 1/3, the area ratio will be 1/9. So this is 1/9 of the total, this is also 1/9, this is also 1/9. So what's left is 6/9. So hexagon by triangle will be 6/9. So in this question, if you have a population P in a year, the next year it will be 2P plus 3, which means that if you start with 1000, next year it will be 2003. Next year it will be double it and add 3, 4006 plus 3, 4009. Double it and add 3, 8018 plus 3, 8021. But it's not easy to do this 15 times. That would be a brute force solution. You don't have time for that. You need to find a pattern. And that pattern is pretty simple. This 1000 is actually 3 less than 1003. And what drives you towards the solution should be the options. You will see that all the options contain something to do with the 1003 or a 997. So you have to understand that the 3 should be, there should be some manipulation with the 3 there. And so you'll see that the first number is 3 less than 1003, the second number is 3 less than 2006, the third number is 3 less than 4012, and now you have a pattern, 8024 minus 3. Notice that every term, the terms in the second line form a GP, and you can write an expression for the 15th term. So that will be 1003 into 2 raised to it's going to be the 16th term. If you start at 2019 and ask for 2034, it is the 16th term, and so it will be 2 raised to 15. That should be the number basically coming here, and then you have to subtract a 3. So 1003 into 2 raised to 15 minus 3 is your answer. The property f of x plus y is equal to f of x into f of y is something that we have seen in the context of exponents. And so wherever you get this property given, you can take it as let the function be some base raised to my variable b raised to x. But what is the value of b? The value of b is given by the fact that f of 1 is equal to 2. So f of 1 is equal to b raised to 1 is equal to 2, which means that b is equal to 2. So my function is 2 raised to x. That is my function. Now it is given that f of a plus 1, which is 2 raised to a plus 1 plus 2 raised to a plus 2 up till 2 raised to a plus n is equal to 16 into 2 raised to n minus 1 n minus 1. We know that this is the sum of a GP. What we can do is we can take out the 2 raised to a plus 1, and then what you have inside is 2 raised to 0, 1, 2, 4, etc. up till 2 raised to n minus 1, because I've already taken out a plus 1. Now we know how to evaluate this. So we can first evaluate it and then compare it with the given 16 into 2 raised to n minus 1. So we have 2 raised to a plus 1 into, this will simply turn out to be 2 raised to n minus 1. And when we compare it with what is given to us, which is 16 into 2 raised to n minus 1, we can see that 2 raised to a plus 1 is equal to 16. We know that 2 raised to 4 is equal to 16. So that means a plus 1 is equal to 4 and a is equal to 3. That's your answer. So it's given to us that 5.55 raised to x is equal to 0.555 raised to y is equal to 1000. And we're asked to find 1 by x minus 1 by y. Now if you take log to the base 3 to the base 10, you will get x log 5.55 is equal to y log 0.555 is equal to 3. Now let's look at just these two parts for the time being. We have x log 5.55 can be written as 10 into 0.555. So it's going to be log 10 plus log 0.555 is equal to y log 0.555. Log 10 is nothing but 1. So it's going to be x plus x log 0.555 is equal to y log 0.555. Let's take log 0.55 to one side. But first let's look at what we're trying to find. We're trying to find y minus x by xy. Remember that. Now if I take log 0.555 into y minus x, I'm taking this term to the other side and then taking log 0.555 as common. So you'll get log 0.555 the whole into y minus x is equal to x, and we get y minus x by x is equal to 1 by log 0.555. What we want is y minus x by xy, so you can put a y here and you can put a y here. Now what is y log 0.555? We already found that to be 3. So if you make the substitution, it will become 1 by 3, and 1 by 3 is your answer. So the given equation can be rewritten as 3x plus 5y is equal to 45. Dividing throughout by 45, you will get x by 15 plus y by 9 is equal to 1. This is in the 2 intercept form, and we have x intercept of 15 and y intercept of 9. This will look like this. You have the y-axis, the x-axis, the x-intercept of 15 and the y-intercept of 9, and your triangle is here. Now this is a right angle triangle. That means the circumcircle, the hypotenuse of the right triangle is going to be the diameter of the circumcircle. What we need is the closest integer to the radius. So this diameter is 915, the hypotenuse of 915. So that's basically, I'm just going to take it as I'm going to take the 3 outside. It's going to be root of 3 square plus 5 square. That is 3 root 34. This is the diameter and we need to divide this by 2. So let's take the calculator. 34 root is 5.83 into 3 by 2, 1.5 will give you 8.74. So the radius is approximately 8.74 and the closest integer, the answer is 9. So we're given that A, B are positive numbers whose product is 616, and we are given that the difference of the cubes and the cube of the difference have a ratio of 157 by 3. We need to find the sum. What can you cut from here? A cube minus B cube is basically A minus B into A square plus AB plus B square, and A minus B the whole cube is A minus B into A minus B the whole square, which becomes A square minus 2AB plus B square. This is in the ratio 157 by 3. We can cut A minus B's and cross multiply, and you'll get 3A square plus 3AB plus 3B square is equal to 157A square minus 314AB plus 157B square. Take the A squares and B squares to one side and the AB terms to the other side. You'll get 154 into A square plus B square, because the 3A square and the 3B square come to the other side and become negative. You take the minus 314AB to the other side, it becomes plus 314, so it's 317AB. We already know the value of AB. If we substitute that, you will get 317 into 616 is equal to 154 into A square plus B square. Now 616 is 4 times of 154, so if you cut that, you'll get a 4 here, and this becomes 1268. We have the value of A square plus B square. You add 2AB to both sides. 2AB will make it A plus B the whole square, and here 2AB, what is the value? It is double of 616, so it's 1232. And you'll see that it becomes exactly 2500, and that's the value of A plus B the whole squared, because it's A square plus B square plus 2AB. From which you can say that A plus B has to be plus or minus 50, but it's given that A and B are positive, so A plus B is 50. 50 is the answer. So we have a circle of radius 5, so its diameter is 10. AB is a diameter. P and QB 2 points in the circle, so that the length of PB is 6. P is a point on the circumference such that we have 6. We know that if you have a circumference, it's gotta be a right triangle. Angle in a semicircle is 90. So with a 10 and a 6, you can say that AP is gonna be 8 by Pythagoras. 6, 8, 10 is the double of the smallest primitive Pythagorean triple 3, 4, 5 that we know. So AP is 8. It is given that AP is twice that of AQ. So AQ is 4. You can take a radius of 4 and cut, and you can get a Q either here or here. It doesn't really make a difference. So I'll take a Q here, and AQ is 4, and they're asking us what is the length of QB closest to which of the given options is the question. So again, ABQ is also a right angle triangle, and QB is obtained as square of QB is 10 square minus 4 square, again by Pythagoras theorem. So it becomes 100 minus 16 is equal to 84, and QB is therefore the root of 84, which would be 84 root 9.16. 9.16 something. The options given are 9.1, 9.3. The closest answer is 9.1. So you have three modes of travel and their speeds are 10, 20 and 30. Amal took each mode for 1/3 of his total journey time. So his time ratio for Amal, the time ratio is 1 is to 1 is to 1. And when you have the time ratio, the average speed can be calculated using the weighted average formula 10 into 1 plus 20 into 1 plus 30 into 1 by 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is just 20 kilometer per hour. That is Amal. As far as Bimal is concerned, his distances are in the ratio 1 is to 1 is to 1. He traveled equal distances using the three modes of transport. So the easiest way to find the average speed for Bimal is to just realize that the average speed is invariant of the distance, and you can take some convenient value that will make it easy to do the subsequent calculations. So I'm going to take 60, the LCM of the given speeds. So if he is traveling 60 kilometer each using the different modes of transport, in the first leg he will take 60 by 10 6 hours, second leg he will take 60 by 23 hours, third leg 60 by 32 hours, 11 hours. So he has done 180 kilometers in 11 hours. That is the speed for Bimal. So if you look at speed Amal by speed Bimal, that will give you 20 by 180 by 11, which is 220 by 180, which is 11 by 9. What is asked is percentage by which Bimal's time exceeds Amal's time. The time Bimal by time Amal is going to be equal to speed Amal by speed Bimal, because time is inversely proportional to speed. So you have a ratio 11 by 9. To find excess percentage, all you got to do is subtract 1 and you'll get 2 by 9, which is 22%, and that is your answer. Log x plus y plus log x minus y is equal to 3. So by using the property, it will become log of x square minus y square to the base 5 is 3, which means that x square minus y square is equal to 5 cube is 125. The second equation gives log of y by x to the base 2 is equal to, I'm replacing the 1 with log 2. Log 2 to the base 2 minus log 3 to the base 2. So it's going to be log to the base 2 of 2 by 3, which gives us y by x is equal to 2 by 3. Now I'm going to replace, so you have y and x in the ratio 2 is to 3. So let it be 2 parts and 3 parts. So then x square will become 9p square and y square will become 4p square is equal to 125. That is 5p square is equal to 125, which gives you p square is equal to 25, p is equal to 5. That means that 2p is 10, 3p is 15. We are being asked about the product xy, which is 10 into 15 is equal to 150. xy is equal to 150, and that is your answer. What is given to us are the phase diagonals, which are root of L square plus B square, root of L square plus H square, and root of B square plus H square. LBH in any order, doesn't matter. This is given to us as 3 is to 2 root 3 is to 15. Root 15. First thing to do is to remove the root. So L square plus B square, L square plus H square, and B square plus H square are in the ratio 9 is to 12 is to 15. Let's simplify this to 3 is to 4 is to 5. The question is, how can we get L square plus B square, L square plus H square, and B square plus H square in the ratio 3 is to 4 is to 5? And the way to do that is to see the breakups that will add up to, so three numbers L square, B square, and H square are such that two of them will form 3, another 2 will form 4, another 2 will form 5. And the breakup that you can find is basically 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, and 2 plus 3. This can be done by solving three simultaneous equations, something like x plus y is equal to 3, x plus z is equal to 4, y plus z is equal to 5. You know how to do this. I'm not going to bother with this. That will give you 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 2 plus 3. And notice that this is corresponding to my L square, B square and H square. So it's basically L is to B is to H is root 1 is to root 2 is to root 3, because these were my L square, B square, H square, which basically means that the three dimensions of the ratio 1 is to root 2 is to root 3. They're asking for the ratio of the smallest to the longest. Smallest to largest is 1 is to root 3. That's your answer. So we have to go from the point 1 1 to the point 8 10, and we necessarily have to pass through 4 6. So first we have to get to 4 6 from 1 1, and for that you have to do 3 rights and 5 ups. But you can do this in any order. If you do 5 ups first and then 3 rights, doesn't matter. If you do up up right, doesn't matter. All of that will work. So it's basically about how many permutations. So this is step 1 or step of 2 steps. Step 1 is get to the point 4 6, and you have to do 5 ups and 3 rights in any order. So that is 8 items to permute, of which 3 are similar and 5 are similar. This is the number of ways of completing step 1. Step 2 has 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 4 rights and 4 ups. Again, can be done in any order, doesn't matter. It's going to be 8 factorial by 4 factorial 4 factorial. And because these two steps are independent, the process itself can be completed in product. Number of ways of doing step 1 into number of ways of doing step 2. When you do this calculation, you will get 3920, and that is your answer. So in this question, it's important to understand what all is given and not get the data mixed up. We have average of 22 students is one more than the average of 21 other than Ramesh. So Gautam plus 20 has a certain average. When Ramesh is added to the group, he causes the average to rise by 1. Average rises by 1 when Ramesh is added to the group. So you can look at it this way. 21 people had a certain average. This 21 includes Ganesh, Gautam, and Ramesh pulled up the average by 1. So you can write delta S is equal to delta A into N, where average increased by 1 and the final number of people is 22. So the delta S was 22. Ramesh's score was 22 more than the old average of the 21 people. And it is already known to us that Ramesh scored 82.5. So the old average was 60.5. G plus 20 had an average of 60.5. Ramesh comes in with his 82.5, bringing in a surplus of 22, which is distributed equally across 22 people to raise the average by 1. Now, that also means that G plus 20 plus R, the average of the 22 people is 61.5. Now, from this, if you remove Gautam, the average of the score of the 21 students other than Gautam is 62. We have an average for the 22 people, which is 61.5. If Gautam leaves the group, the average will rise by half to end up at 62, which means that Gautam was clearly below this average of 61.5. He takes, when he leaves, he takes out a value less than 61.5, creating a surplus. How much is that surplus? Again, delta S is equal to delta A into N. He causes the average to rise by half when he leaves, and the final number of people is 21. So that means your delta S is 10.5. He creates a surplus of 10.5 when he leaves. That's because his score was actually 10.5 less than the old average. So Gautam's value is 61.5 minus 10.5, which gives you 51. And that's your answer. The number of solutions to the equation mod x into 6x square plus 1 is equal to 5x square. Now, the only way to, the ideal way to go about solving this is to identify the fact that both the LHS and the RHS are even. Both are even. So if x equal to a is a solution, then x equal to minus a also has to be a solution. So let's try to find out how many solutions are there in the positive x side, and then double it. But at the same time, notice that there is something that might not have a negative, which is x equal to 0. You always have to be careful about this when you're using even to solve the concept of even functions to solve. So notice that when x equal to 0, the LHS is 0 and the RHS is also 0. So x equal to 0 is one solution. It doesn't have a duplicate. That's it. Now let's look at the look only at the x greater than 0 side of the equation. Assume x greater than 0 and see how many solutions there are. So then it becomes mod x will simply become x. So we have 6x cube plus x is equal to 5x square. X equal to greater than 0 all automatically means that x cannot be 0, which means you can cut the x from both sides. You'll get 6x square plus 1 is equal to 5x. 6x square minus 5x plus 1 equal to 0. 6x square minus 3x minus 2x plus 1 equal to 0. 3x into 2x minus 1 minus 1 into 2x minus 1 equal to 0. 3x minus 1 into 2x minus 1 equal to 0. X is either 1 by 3 or 1 by 2. These are two more solutions where x greater than 0. Similarly, x less than 0, you will get x is equal to minus 1 by 3 as well as minus 1 by 2. That means total number of solutions is 5. You have your 0 which doesn't have a duplicate, you have 1 by 3 and 1 by 2 with their duplicates minus 1 by 3 and minus 1 by 2, 5 solutions. To solve this question, let's see what kind of we know that this is a GP, right? We also know that it's a GP with a common ratio of 2. It looks very similar to that. So let's look at our familiar sequence 2 raised to 0 plus 2 raised to 1 etc. up till 2 raised to n. What does the sum look like? It is 2 raised to n plus 1 minus 1, and we know this. And if you don't know this by heart, you can just evaluate it using the GP finite GP formula. But what we have is 2 raised to n plus 1 minus 2. What can we do about that? It's pretty simple. You can just strike out the first term. Its value is 1, right? So it further reduces by 1 and you'll get 2 raised to n plus 1 minus 2. That is a sequence that starts at 2 instead of starting at 1. 2, 4, 8, 16 onwards. It adds up to 2 raised to n plus 1 minus 2. But the question says it adds up to 3 times of that. To get that, we have to multiply each term by 3. Okay, you get the point. So what we have is a GP that starts at 6 and then doubles 6, 12, 24 and so on. And the general term is basically 3 into 2 raised to 1, 3 into 2 raised to 2. That's the second term. So the 11th term is 3 into 2 raised to 11, which is what we are asked to find. It's basically 3 into 2048, which is 6144, and that is your answer. So it is given that 60% are girls and 40% are boys. So that's girls and boys in the ratio 3:2. It's also given that there are 30 more girls. So that means there are 90 girls and 60 boys. It is given that 30 boys pass. So that's 30 pass, 30 fail. And it's given that 68% of all of the students pass. So that's a total of 150 students, of which 68% passed. 68% of 150 is 102, which means that 72 girls have passed and the remaining 18 have failed. And the question is asking percentage of girls who did not pass, which is 18 upon 90. which is 20%. So in this question, let's assume that the price of a pen is 100p and the price of a book is 100b. And I'll write two equations for the profits, not the cost prices, but the profits. So it's going to be minus 5p plus 15b is equal to 7, and plus 5p plus 10b is equal to 13. If you add these two equations, this will cancel and you will have 25b is equal to 20. What you need is 100b, which is 4 times of that, so it's 80. Notice that is the price of the book, and that is your answer, 80 rupees. So this equation without the mods would be a regular quadratic equation with at most 2 distinct roots, but we do have the mod function, so it's going to be different. It would be useful to look at the graph and you'll get a very clear idea of what this looks like. So for that, what we're going to do for a graphical solution is we're going to plot mod of x square minus x minus 6, that is y is equal to mod of x square minus x minus 6, and we'll also plot y is equal to x plus 2 on the same graph and see where the two different curves cut each other, where all they cut each other. So to plot y is equal to mod of x square minus x minus 6, we first have to plot y is equal to x square minus x minus 6, and that's a quadratic curve. It's going to be a parabola with a minimum. So first we need to see what the roots are. It is basically x minus 3 into x plus 2. So the roots of the quadratic are going to be 3 and minus 2. So we have roots at minus 2 and let's say 3, and we know the axis of symmetry is going to be halfway between these two roots, so it's going to be at half. And the lowest value you can obtain by substituting x equal to half in this expression, which will give you 1 by 4 minus half minus 6, which is minus 6.25. So my original curve is a parabola with its lowest point at half comma minus 6.25. And mod of that curve is going to be all you got to do is you retain the portion which is above the x-axis, you flip the portion which is below the x-axis, and you flip it to positive x values, positive y values. So this curve right here is mod of x square minus x minus 6. We also need to plot and remember the fact that the points were minus 2 0. This is one of the roots, the other root is 3 0. That's my LHS. My RHS is y is equal to x plus 2, which has a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of 2. So it's going to pass through 0 2 with a slope of 1, and it's going to pass through minus 2 0 as well. We know this. So that's my y is equal to x plus 2, and the other one was my y is equal to mod of x square minus x minus 6. As you can see, we have 3 meeting points. Now a purely equation based solution would have said mod of x square minus x minus 6 is equal to x square minus x minus 6. Where does this happen? From minus infinity to minus 2 union 3 to infinity. Notice where I'm putting the close bracket. On the other hand, it will be equal to minus x square plus x plus 6 when x is between minus 2 to 3. Here I'm putting open brackets because we want the piecewise definition to be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. So you can't put open in both places, you can't put closed in both places. The convention is to have the closed interval along with the positive sign. You can flip the convention, wouldn't make a difference. Anyways, without worrying too much about this piecewise definition in a purely equation based solution, we're going to use the the graph as well, so that we clearly understand where all the solutions are. So we have this solution right here, which is x is equal to minus 2. That's one of the solutions, and that is happening at the place where the graph flips. Let's look at the other two. We can find these by writing the corresponding equation where mod of x square minus x minus 6 may or may not be flipped depending on, may not be negated depending on whether the graph was flipped. So this, the equation for this point is x square minus x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2. And the equation for this point of intersection is minus x square plus x plus 6 is equal to x plus 2, because the curve has been flipped by the mod function. So therefore I'm writing minus of my expression, and you can solve both of these to get the required answer. So the second one is basically x square minus x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2, which gives you x square minus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. That's x minus 4 into x plus 2 is equal to 0, which gives you x is equal to 4 as well as x is equal to minus 2. Notice that the x is equal to minus 2 is turning up here because it is also part of the non-flipped. That was the first one that we found. So we found x is equal to 4 and x is equal to minus 2, two of the three roots. Now the third root is from the flipped portion, the portion right here. That gives you minus x square plus x plus 6 is equal to x plus 2, which gives you x square is equal to 4, which again gives you x is equal to plus 2 or minus 2. The minus 2 is repeating because it is part of, it is at the boundary between the flipped portion and the non-flipped portion. That is why it gets repeated. And x plus 2, x is equal to plus 2 is the third distinct root. That's your 2, that is your 4, and that's your minus 2. These are the three distinct roots, and so the answer is product, which is minus 16. We can quickly find the central unknown portion by applying principle of inclusion exclusion. So 144 plus 123 plus 132 minus 58 minus 25 minus 63 plus x, the unknown, is equal to 256. This would be 83, 146, 255, 253 plus x is equal to 256 or x equal to 3. Once you get x equal to 3, then you will say people who play football and tennis 58, of which 55 will be here, and 25 play both cricket and tennis, of which 22 will be here. So this whole section, who are people who play tennis but not tennis alone, is 55 plus 22 plus 3 is 80, and you had a total of 123 playing tennis. So the remaining 43 should be here, and the answer is 43. So let's imagine that the total score for the paper was some 100x. She now has, let's say, 40x. That was her score. After review, her score increased by 50% and became 60x. She still failed by 35 marks. If this post-review score is further increased by 20%, it would have become 72x. And if she got that 72x, she would have scored 7 marks more than passing. So 72x is 7 marks more than the required pass percentage, and 60x is 35 less. That's in the ratio 5:1. So you just need to split 60 to 72 in the ratio 5:1, and you will get 70x here. That's basically 70%, and that's your answer. So we have a function, custom defined function, and it is also a piecewise function where the definition depends on a certain condition. You have multiple definitions depending on whether n is odd or even, and it is also given to us that for a particular value m, 8 times f of m plus 1 minus f of m is equal to 2. Now there are two cases. Case 1, m is odd. If I make that assumption, m will be odd, m plus 1 will be even. So the equation will become 8 f of m plus 1 will become m plus 1 into m plus 2 minus f of m is odd, so it's going to be m plus 3 is equal to 2. This will give you 8m square plus 24m plus 16 minus m minus 3 minus 2 equal to 0. That will give me 8m square plus 23m plus 11 is equal to 0. I'm not sure if we have a nice easy integral solution to that. Let's look at the other case as well. Case 2, m is even. That means m plus 1 is odd, so it's going to be 8 times m plus 1 plus 3, which is 8 times m plus 4 minus, what's fm? Fm is m into m plus 1 because m is even, minus m square minus m is equal to 2. That gives me 8m plus 32 minus m square minus m is equal to 2. Take that to the other side, it's going to be m square minus 7m minus 30 equal to 0. That gives me m minus 10 into m plus 3 is equal to 0. M is equal to 10 or minus 3. M is equal to 10 is the even value that we have assumed. As far as this case is concerned, I don't think it has a useful integral root, so there's nothing valuable there. M is equal to 10 is your answer.